Horror movie?
What?
Let's make a horror movie?
I wonder what we'll be like then. Brains in jars, I'm going to guess.
We're a long way for God now, son.
Slowly
Coming out of his mouth.
crawling out
Yeah,
of his
that's
mouth
fucking
and stretching
cool.
his skin.
Nice. So he doesn't save them, the bridge goes down, people die, and he's like, oh well, job done. Clarence?
Can we try take two again?
Yeah. All I'm saying is maybe don't trust sentient hats to make life-changing decisions, but...
Thanks for your correspondence, J-Tubs. To Dave's happy place.
Welcome to episode 10 of Let's Make a Horror Movie.
Hello everyone, it's Halloween.
It's
October.
Halloween special.
Yeah.
I'm Dave.
I'm John.
And together we're Let's Make a Horror Movie, I guess.
Or Jave.
Jave, yeah, or Don.
Yeah.
Although Don is a real name, I suppose.
Yeah.
So,
that went nowhere.
This is the podcast where each episode we take it in turns to pitch the other one a horror movie idea, a first draft, and one that welcomes any and all improvements.
Of course.
Both from the opposing host and from you Lamamians out there listening with your ears.
And it's episode 10, an even number, yours.
That's right, yeah.
Exciting.
And so normally in this part of the show we have some sort of analogy for what this is like. So we've done beavers building dams, or, we've done birds building nests.
It's like what we've done is, unless you've already got one.
I've got one, but hey, look.
No, if you've got one,
got an embarrassment
I've just literally come up with something which I think might be bullshit.
We've got an embarrassment of riches, mate. Just you tell me, and I'll just whack mine in as well.
The pressure is immense. It's like the rib plucked from Adam, being turned into a beautiful Eve.
There you go. That's good.
We're the rib, you're the rest of it.
I was gonna say we're like babies mushing Play-Doh together into an old VCR top loading.
I like it. That's better than my club, do you want? A pumpkin plant making a pumpkin for you to carve. Halloween special.
Anyway, you can reach us on email at letsmakeahorrormovie@gmail.com or on Twitter at LamamPod, LMAHM-pod. We're also on Instagram, or you could call us on 011-2358-1321-34 Fibonacci.
Yes.
For those savants out there, you'll recognise that as the Fibonacci sequence.
Shout out to my savants.
We should all be so lucky. So yeah, look, this is the fucking podcast. This podcast has 3 acts. First act normally is feedback on last week's horror movie idea.
Act 2 is culture.
Yeah, culture from the last fortnight. All the little gems that John and I have picked out of someone else's poo.
We have sifted through the dustbin of the last 2 weeks to find the bits of information you want.
Yeah, or something like that. Something like that, but with funny.
I think that proved that, mate. Didn't need to be said.
And Act 3 is the this week's pitch itself. So, if you want to skip all the glistening banter that, you almost don't deserve.
You'll be a fool for yourself. Then
you can check out the description.
If you don't care about joy, then skip it.
Yeah, if you hate joy, skip to Act 3.
Yeah, where there's no joy.
The
barren wasteland of misery.
So that's the thing, and that's how we work. And as John mentioned, it's October, and so we thought we got 2 podcasts this month. Why don't we make them Halloween specials?
Yeah.
So it's a Hallow motherfucking Ween special for y'all.
This is part 1. What feedback did we get?
Okay, mate, yeah. So, we have...
Last week's was Hand of Anubis, which is one of mine, and I was, not to sound like a bit of an arse, a bit proud of it. I quite liked it.
Hey, mate, I thought it was good. Yeah. Let's see what...
I'm hoping glowing praise.
Let's see what Mothman, educated story construction expert and friend of the show, J-Dubs, makes of it.
Yeah.
His response is titled Dusty Debs.
Oh, I like that.
Which one may assume might be his suggestion for... the title.
Yes, it's a very good name.
Yeah, Dusty Debs. So, cordial human greeting. Doctor of peripheral padding at your service. You'll soon find your movie more padded than cells you are each destined for. Oh.
Slightly threatening as well.
I really like the conviction of Joshua to his belief of the afterlife. I feel it needs some additional confirmation in Act 1 beyond the cold open.
Okay, yeah, fair.
Once in a lifetime trip to Egypt with Mother, which is where she gets fatally ill. It was an ostrich accident, J-Dubs. I threw that out there right at the end. I mean, again, a lot of it was between the lines.
Oh, yeah, it was all implied. I thought I made that clear. Maybe I was a bit too subtle. Which is often I've been accused of.
I mean, I do quite like... I don't know how the pacing would be affected by a trip to Egypt in the first act.
Yeah, kind of like Indiana Jones-esque first bit.
Yeah, Devs hated snakes. Always hated snakes.
Yeah, she did.
Really fucking hated them.
Belongs in a museum.
This could be so. With regards to the trip to Egypt,
of course, yeah.
Devs does Egypt.
Yeah.
This could be where Anubis first appears, maybe even after an interaction with drugs, to further add doubt to the supernatural element. Joshua is followed home by visions of an initially regular-seeming dog. We slowly gather more information during these visions, and Anubis comes closer to Joshua and the audience as his influence takes hold. He says, I had a couple of ideas to take Gyons, Gyons, and a couple of different ideas to take Gyon's pitch in a different direction.
Okay.
Please find presumptuous changes below, pulled straight out of the Richard Gere love jar. I like the idea of a drawn-out pull back and reveal on the mummification and even the nature of Anubis.
Yep.
It leaves the opening credits to allow the audience to pick up the thread. Yeah. I feel, it could work. I thought there was potential to string out the research, procurement of materials, and eventual mummification.
Yeah, I think that's definitely stuff you could throw in there.
He says, e.g., an obsessively long time picking sand from the correct region and grain size. Yeah, a journey to pick the correct herbs.
Yeah, it's all about sand.
Lots of jar deliveries.
Yeah.
You can move right through to Act 2 reveal of the mummification plan, and the Anubis reveal gives the whole plot a lingering uncertainty before an explosive finish.
Yeah.
He says the direction would leave the first murder without clear... this direction would leave the first murder without clear motive. However, this could be an additional pullback and reveal when you find out that the killing, which plays out as a random act of madness, is in fact due to Clive's discovery of the mummification process.
Yeah.
A totally different take on the conclusion was to show all bodies mummified at the end. All Dusty Debs has returned, properly mummified, to take care of her son and to make sure he makes it to the afterlife. None of this needs to be on camera, just a close-up of a trace of mummification material on the hand of the original mummy, or a slight finger twitch to close, a puzzle to test Holmes and Watson. I do kind of like that. I do think, at the same time, I think it would slightly change the film I think we're going for. Yeah. In the same way that me suggesting that Joshua had sex with dead bodies changed it.
I mean, they're not bad suggestions.
That's the sequel.
The sequel's sticky as a movie.
Yeah, it's a lot of wet wipes, the sequel.
Yeah, it's called Wet Wipes.
So, as always, J-Dubs has sent in some alternative titles, and you can do this as well, folks.
Yeah.
You got hands, most of you. So, let's do this.
Apart from you-know-who.
Yeah. And the Gimp.
Stumpy Tim.
So, Dusty Debs, obviously. Noobs. Yeah, a Vance shortening of Anubis plays well with the YouTube generation.
I like that, yeah.
J-Dubs, I don't want to shit in your parade, but I cut out a 10-minute segment where I made that exact joke over and over because I thought it was hilarious. Didn't come out well. I think this is funnier, though. Yeah. It's funnier in the sort of fourth person.
Yeah. It's funny knowing that it doesn't work and seeing somebody else go down the same cul-de-sac.
Let's see if this makes the edit.
Yeah.
Joshua and the Giant Furnace. I mean, that's quite fun for a Roald Dahlian. Take a couple of serious titles. Fair enough. The Black Dog.
That's good.
I do like that, although I'm pretty sure that's a Neil Gaiman short story title, although that doesn't stop us from using it.
Also, thing as well, correct me if I'm wrong, but Black Dog's also a euphemism for depression as well, I think.
That is true.
Which I think I wanted to stay clear of the mental illness.
That's true.
Too overtly, I think that would have too many connotations.
J-Dubs, you've been too clever on that one.
Yeah, dial it back a bit, mate.
My favourite, The Quiet Ones.
That's good.
Referencing the cliche of it's always the quiet ones, and also referencing the bodies in the basement.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Peace and love from J-Dubs.
Oh, that's another name. Peace and love.
Peace and love from J-Dubs, innit?
Yeah, peace and love. Namaste.
Peace and love. Peace and love sounds like Ringo, in that video where he's like, stop sending me letters. I've got
no
no
longer
fucking
give a
time.
shit.
Yeah, he's like,
Peace
don't
and
give a shit. I haven't been a Beatle for like 40 years and I was the worst one at the time
He was
anyway.
barely one then.
Now I support Brexit because I haven't lived in the UK for so fucking long. I'm an idiot. So...
All good feedback.
But yeah, I mean, as we've said before, off podcast, it's no surprise that out of all the Beatles, Ringo is the Brexit one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least he's found a niche. I like a lot of the suggestions. For me, I was very much writing from the beginning to the end of a psychotic break. So the movie opens, apart from like the opening with the credits, with him doing it to the mum, because that's the point when he loses it. He loses his grip.
Yes.
Doing that. So I kind of was basically telling literally a window of this man's life, but only that bit, almost without context. So, but yeah, you could expand it and change that. But that's what I was going for.
Yeah, I like it. I think both of them work very well.
Yeah,
I think J Dub's feedback, as I say, would slightly change the tone of the film.
Yeah.
Wouldn't necessarily make it worse. It just makes it a different movie.
I think it would definitely be, if this were to be made, and fingers crossed. Think it's.
Hey, reach out to Steve.
Yeah.
You know Stephen King's a listener.
Oh, he's furiously taking notes. I think they would definitely make it a more accessible movie. It would probably make it more of a movie.
Yeah.
And less of a kind of helter-skelter of sort of psychotic grief.
Dusty Debs and the Jars of Love. I mean, there's something to be said for an elongated film
Deb's
title.
Dusty Jar?
Deb's Dusty Jar. That again sounds like a euphemism. We're back to the old love jar conversation on that one. Great. Well,
thanks, J-Dubs.
Yeah, thanks,
great.
J-Dubs. Moving on to Act 2. This is gonna be a brisk episode, I think.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm looking forward. I'm actually quite excited for your pitch.
I have quite a long pitch.
Ooh.
I'll get into this in a minute. I'll get into this at the beginning of Act 3.
Yeah.
Funnily enough.
Yeah.
So look, Act 2, I got loads to talk about.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
talk away.
start off with the genuinely good stuff.
Yeah,
and not just the nonsense. For anyone who listens for long enough, you'll know that John and I both swiftly move into nonsense.
Yeah.
And then stay there.
We never far from.
We doubled right down on it.
Yeah.
Always double down on nonsense.
Definitely.
John Lennon's birthday this week.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. I did just because we were talking about Ringo, but I thought, he is one of the most musical domestic abusers we've ever produced. John Lennon.
He was.
So it is.
Yeah.
John Lennon. Yeah, I was just saying.
Happy birthday, John.
Yeah. Do you think John Lennon's comes back like a forced ghost to Paul McCartney?
I think Paul McCartney thinks he does.
How about doing another album, Paul? He's like, but I'm basically 90. It's gone brummy.
What section are we in?
Yeah, we just entered Act 2.
Oh, sorry, clearly.
Yeah. Culture.
Yes.
John Lennon's birthday.
Well, that's a lot to
So,
take in.
you know.
I've learned a lot about John Lennon very quickly. Like I've had a shot of him.
Yeah, now how do we feel about Ringo?
Still the worst Beatle.
Oh my god.
Still not my...
This episode is going to be like 10 minutes long. Because I've cut so
Halloween!
much out.
Done.
But look, anyway, I didn't want to get bogged down in that because there are some genuinely good things I want to talk about this week.
Yeah, you came out swinging.
So one of them is I started listening to a new podcast, which is a rarity.
Yeah.
Like I do try and give whatever I can. I do try and give other horror genre podcasts a go.
Yeah.
And I have mentioned a couple of them in the past, not least the Arrow Video podcast, which is always a treat.
Yeah, awesome.
Those guys really know their shit. But no, so I got into another podcast. It's called Codename Blank.
Ooh.
And I highly recommend it.
I'm intrigued.
It's written by a guy called Brandon Greer,
Nice
who
name.
is a Houston-based writer and actor, and he has got a whole load of cool voice talent, great cast, and he's basically done these radio plays
Nice.
that are just completely absurd, and they follow a detective whose sidekick is a guy called Johnny Taco. I say guy, he's a dinosaur called Johnny Taco.
No, that makes total sense.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like crime solving. They're only like 5 episodes in. Can't recommend it enough.
Sounds great. I'll give it a listen.
Do you know what? It's nice, and it's one of the 10 podcasts that isn't true crime.
Yeah, it's nice.
So, you know.
Nice to get a bit of variation now.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice just to, for once, not listen about... Yeah. Because, you know, the world's grim enough. And,
it is
you know,
grim.
we all like a bit of true crime.
Of course.
But if I tried to listen to all the true crime podcasts now, I'd never finish.
You know as much about Ed Gein as you want to.
Yeah. Well, give it a couple of
Which
years.
is everything.
There'll be a hot take podcast all about how Ed Gein wasn't that bad. Actually.
Misunderstood.
Yeah.
He only killed 2.
Have you seen his furniture? It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. His upholstering is
also, he loved his mum.
Great upholsterer, real upcycled around his house, Ed Gein.
Yeah. I mean, just in case someone's going to fact check me, I know he's suspected of killing his brother. So possibly 3. But yeah, you know. I don't want people coming at me. That's all.
But yeah, so Codename Blank, go and look it up. If you can't find it, you can find it on our Twitter because we like them and follow them and sort of tweet it.
Well, I mean, right now only you like them, but I will listen to it.
Yeah,
I'm
you will.
almost certain I will like it.
John will definitely. You'll enjoy it. Sillier than a silly stick dripping in liquid silly.
Oh, nice.
Which is right up my alley.
Yeah, you do like silly.
Oh yeah.
Everyone loves a bit.
It's
silly.
up there with nonsense.
Yeah.
So, anyway, the other thing I was just quickly mentioning before we get onto your cultural highlights is I started reading a book called Unforeseen by an author named Molly Gloss.
Okay.
It's fucking great. It's like a book of short stories. She's an American writer, I believe, from Oregon. I suppose you could call it science fiction, or perhaps speculative fiction might be a more accurate term. I was going to get back into reading the Horrorish heresy, which I put on hold for the last 3 months or something.
You did take 20 books straight.
It's 25. 25 books in a row. It's a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm still, look, I need a support group. We've been through this.
That's more than most world leaders have ever read.
Yeah. But anyway, so the reason I got into this was Jeff Vandermeer tweeted about it the other day. It's just come out. It's brand new. So,
nice.
Go get it. It's Jeff Vandermeer tweeted about it, and his word at this point is gospel.
Yeah, he's great.
So I just went and bought it, pushed the next Horrorish Heresy book back another couple of weeks. But it's so worth it. I'm only about 3 stories in, but the first 3 are an absolute crackers.
Yeah, so you've already got your own money's worth.
Yeah.
I mean, 3 stories is more than most people.
So, Molly Gloss, Unforeseen, go get it. You? Any cultural horror? Just a lot of that's not horror, but...
Still reading the fair bit of Stephen King, as usual. So that's all fun.
Dr. Snooze?
Yeah. I'm still on for Snooze MD. That's going quite well.
Snoozy Hauser.
Very good.
Yeah.
Much being opening credits.
I did this for a living.
Yeah.
Yeah. Puns. Headlines.
What else have I been... because I've also been reading a few history books. I've been a bit slow on the fiction side recently. Yeah. Watched quite a few movies recently with mixed results. Seen Free from Hell.
Which is Rob Zombie's new one.
Latest one. I mean, he's tried his best, and that's nice. The sad thing about that is that Sig Haig recently passed.
Yes, he did.
Very sad, and he's got a very good scene in it. Which is, I think, his last performance that he saw, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So for that alone, it's worthy of note. Watch Crawl, the alligators.
Oh yeah, how was that?
Yeah, really good, really fun.
Really good. I heard it good things. Yeah. It was a Fright Fest movie as well this year.
Yes, I think it was. Yeah, it's like a 90s throwback sort of thing. Twist of a bit more blood and crocodiles, obviously.
Is it better than Lake Placid?
I don't know what I think it is.
Good, because I didn't love that movie.
I've almost no recollection of it, but I have seen it.
There you go.
So yeah, that's a glowing review.
And that really adds credence to your comparison about how this is better.
Yeah.
I can't remember the other one.
Well, yeah, because I mean, I remember all about Crawl. That's
weird. It's weird how memory works, isn't it? Isn't that weird? I don't understand why you would remember something that you saw like 2 days ago compared to something that you saw 20, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Weird. Any more Act 2?
What a silly series of events this has been so far.
Yes, the whole point of this podcast is fun nonsense and then a horror movie pitch.
Yeah.
If we're not delivering that's all it is.
Yeah, it really is.
And don't hope for anything more.
Yeah.
Hopefully you won't get anything less.
Yeah. If you do, we're sorry.
Yeah, pretty much.
But if you don't, you're welcome. I think that's pretty much where we are.
Oh, yeah.
I think literally in terms of culture, that's all I've done.
Yeah, so look, hey guys.
Hey guys.
Hey guys. Welcome to Act 3.
Yeah. He has turned his chair around. He's now sitting on it backwards.
So look, it's the first of the horror Halloween special.
Yeah.
So, got a few caveats here. I don't know if this is any good.
Okay.
But then that's kind of the point of this podcast.
Guys, if it's not good enough, it's up to you to fix it.
Yeah.
Not us.
Or you, the opposing host. In order of hierarchy, at this point, I expect it from you, relatively immediately, because you're sitting opposite me.
Of course, yeah.
J-Dub's about a fortnight later.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyone else, you can just jump in at any time. Twitter, email, semaphore.
The ball's very much in their court.
Loud coughing.
Yeah.
Even. We'll take it. I'll read it out. Just as long as it's phonetically spelled.
Yeah, and you are fluent in coughing.
Oh, yeah. I don't know where I'm going. Silly. Anyway, so I don't know if it's very good, but it's hopefully it will give us some kind of meat to work from. The other thing I will just quickly mention before I start is this is the third story I wrote.
Ooh.
So I literally have two other synopsises that I could read you afterwards.
Wow.
But one of them is vastly better than the other. So look, let's see how we do for time. Mm-hmm. The final comment I'll say before I start is that this is my first attempt really at trying to write a pitch for a movie that is essentially done in real time.
Ooh, like 24.
24 is such shit. Oh yeah, the au pair is now joins NCU, the counter-terrorist unit. Yeah, because...
First you thought terrorist, now mountain lion.
But, don't want to dwell on that.
Yeah.
Also, don't want to have a go at other creative endeavours. But, dog shit. But do you know what annoyed me more about how bad 24 is how ridiculously popular it was. And how people were like, oh my god, have you seen it? Have you seen it? But like, dude, it's on like season 5 by this point. It's the same shit every fucking time. And they're like, no, but... It's basically a science fiction version of a terrorist drama.
Yeah.
That's what 24
is.
It's
an even more tedious James Bond. And I agree. I don't even like James Bond. I think...
I feel it depends which Bond... I mean, that's a whole thing. That's a whole thing. But
we'll save this for our spin-off podcast, Boys on Bond.
Boys on Bond. Yeah. First episode is all about On Her Majesty's Secret Service. Because that's everyone's favourite.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Everyone remembers Lazenby.
Yeah, it's anyone I've seen more than 20 times.
Bloody James Bond. Hello? The name's Bond. Jim Bond. I'll have a little stubby. Shaking nuts, dude. It's basically Lazenby. That's my Lazenby.
It's cracking. I walked in the room.
Yeah. So anyway, here we go.
Classic Halloween banter. This is our spooky episode.
Oh,
Lazenby's dead.
Lazenby. Is he still alive? He is. He's still alive. Just. He's clinging on.
I'm really
I
sorry.
think the only one we've lost is Roger Moore, isn't it?
Oh, we must have lost another one.
Well, Connery's still going.
He is, isn't he?
What's
another wife beater.
General Twat. Irish guy.
Pierce Brosnan.
Pierce Brosnan. There you go. One good, two shit Bonds. That's.
I mean, is Lazenby? Is he still kicking?
Mm-hmm.
Or is he Lazenby around?
Money down now says Lazenby's still alive.
I think you could be right, mate.
Because obviously I've done all the research for Boys on Bond episode 1.
Of course, yeah. I'm coming into it clean.
The sister podcast to Boys on Bond is Let's Make a Bond Movie. Where every episode we just pitch a whole bunch of new Bond.
So there's this smug twat,
and he's got like a wallet. But it's not a normal wallet. When you open a wallet, it shoots out darts.
Yeah.
And attached to those darts are flags. And when the flags go up, then a submarine comes around from... You get the idea. But they're amazing. Every episode of that is just genius.
Oh, it's gold,
if I may be so.
I don't know why I listened to this one. I mean, this is very much the B cast.
Yeah, this was very much a spin-off of Boys on Bond, and then from that, let's make a Bond movie, and then now let's make a horror movie.
Yeah, because we kept on making it horror, didn't we?
That's the thing. Scary Bond.
Yeah, Bond loses his face.
And his hands.
Blofeld takes his hands.
So, shall we crack in? Are you ready? Are you ready for Halloween episode
I'm more
1?
than ready.
Right, here we go. There's no cold open to this. So again, first pitch I've done where there hasn't been no opening scene. So
and again, this is all scrolling text, right?
Yeah, the text scrolling says that there's no
cold
open, and that this is the writer's first one where this has happened.
And then,
says all of this is explained.
And then like a clever Shyamalanian twist, it ends saying "end of cold open."
Or is it? So I don't know what the credit roll is. Maybe it's shots of the tennis. You'll see. Figure it out. Lamamians, write in. Give us some suggestions by all means.
Soundtrack ideas.
A rural woman. That sounds weird, doesn't it sound? So
End.
Yeah. We open on a woman in a rural area. She's in a house
Mm-hmm.
on a new housing development on the edge of a small town or a village, if you will, in the countryside, the English rolling countrysides. Actually, if you want to be specific, we're in a small village near Cirencester, which I really had to, because it's spelled Kirkenkester. So, get involved. Who said English wasn't an easy language? So small village near Cirencester in England. Mm-hmm. Current day, modern day. Ooh. Yeah, because I don't do 2 historical epics in a row.
Yeah.
So, a woman in a house on the very edge of a small village, on the very edge of a newer housing development on the edge of that village. Mm. And she's expecting kids to come because it's Halloween.
Ooh, on topic.
On topic.
Oh.
October, Halloween. So she's expecting kids to come trick-or-treating. And she lives with her husband, Bill, in a wild plot right on the edge. Mm-hmm. Backing onto fields, farmland, and rolling countryside.
The Green Hills of Jerusalem.
Classic. Further down the lane, so she lives at an end of a lane.
Cool.
Further down the lane, so the lanes are good. It's possibly like as much as a kilometre, like 1,000 metres.
Wow, nice.
Yeah. Down the other end of the lane towards the town, we see on one side of the lane there's a building site which quickly gives way to fields and countryside, and on the other side is some more of this new housing development that is all finished and populated. We're getting some early evening shots and a couple decorating the and this couple, so Bill and Shirley, her name is.
Oh, nice.
We'll come on to that. They're decorating the front garden, the porch. It's all Halloweeny, and you never know. They might see a wisp if they're outside long enough, because all this used to be marshland, and they're still largely surrounded by the countryside. And the town did used to be well known for will-o'-the-wisps. Cool. And if you don't know what those are, I'll get to it.
Yeah. Have you seen the movie Brave? You're in that.
Are they?
Yeah.
Well, now.
Yeah.
Good knowledge. Yeah. So there you go. So we might get some stuff establishing shots and stuff in that one. We might see a sign up, the town used to be known for where you could go and see will-o'-the-wisps.
Cool.
And we see maybe a couple of badgers scooting across some, monoblock paving into the undergrowth as we're getting these kind of external shots. So Shirley and her husband Bill have got pictures of, and they reference a child of theirs, but in the past tense. He loved Halloween, it was always his favourite. Anyway, that's a long time ago, and there's still a building site there now, but they did finish the other 3/4 of the development, so it's like a different village than it was then.
Yeah.
All this kind of
times have changed.
So we also get some scenes in Act 1 with another family, Nick and Claire, and their kids. It's a big grand house. Clearly they're wealthy, and via some exposition we understand this couple are largely responsible for that new housing development that Shirley and Bill live on the edge of. Money, 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 money!
Of course, yeah. Make it rain.
I can't. I started too high. So they're largely responsible for the new housing development, or at least they were, because it started 10 years ago. So it's actually it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
So we join this family as they're getting ready for trick-or-treating. And Nick and Claire are talking about the same historic child. Hold on, did I miss something here? Yeah. Oh yeah. So basically, I think I forgot to write this in. So in the exposition with Shirley and Bill and their child that's no longer around, who basically went missing.
Yeah. Dark stuff.
About 10 years ago.
Suitably spooky.
Yeah, and so when we cut to the Nick and Claire and they're getting their kids ready for trick-or-treating, it becomes apparent that Bill and Shirley's kid actually went missing on Halloween, was never found about 10 years ago. And that only comes up because they're just giving their kids a bit of a warning, don't stay out too late, make sure you're back by 9, the usual stuff that parents would say.
He's become a kind of cautionary tale. Or him. Or her.
Yeah. Interestingly, though, of course, because it's a small town and people know about that, people will tell their kids, make sure you go and visit Shirley and Bill. Yeah. Because it's a good neighbourly thing to do. Decent thing to do, right?
Keep them involved.
Yeah. Or either rub their face in the fact that their kid's dead.
Yeah. This act's particularly childlike.
So when they're not being really darkly vicious,
kids can be cruel.
Well, that's it. Children are cruel. People in general. So they make a big deal getting their kids to promise to be back by 9. And we see a few small animals skitter across the corner of the house as we're getting some shots. So we get some more, some quick expositional shots around town. As I said, welcome to the home of Will-o'-the-Wisp. I'm back with Shirley and Bill, and after some time, she realises that though she's well prepared, no kids have come by yet.
Oh.
So she's keeping an eye out on the lane, because by this point it's dark. So she's like, why are there no kids? Normally
most of the kids would have come and gone by then.
So she keeps an eye out down, from the house window down the lane to see if she can see any kids. As I say, other parents tend to ask their kids to swing by out of sympathy. So normally, they expect them. Yeah. Eventually, she does see a couple of children coming down the lane. I've written, hey Bill, I can see Doug and Melrose's kids. But I don't know why I wrote that, because normally I would only write dialogue if they had a funny accent that I would do. But this is like Middle England. I don't know, it would be something fairly standard and...
nondescript.
Yeah. So the best I could do is, I don't know, high voice maybe? Or
go for it, man.
Or you could be like, hey Bill, I can see Doug and Melrose's kids.
Shirley.
Yeah, the classic Shirley. Proper hick Shirley.
Yeah, all Alabama Shirley.
Man, I am all about the Tide. If y'all don't know, Crimson Tide is the Alabama college football team. And they is fine. So anyway, she's calling out to Bill, I can see a couple of kids coming down the lane. However, when they're about halfway there and only partially visible outside of the light of the street lamp, there's only a few, it's countryside, it's rural. Yeah. It's, picture it, listeners.
It's not London.
It's not London, exactly. It's not any city. Small, rural village.
Yeah.
So she sees some kids coming down the lane, only partially visible outside the street lamp light itself, but, they're carrying lanterns and torches and the usual shit. So you can see where they are,
of course,
silhouettes and stuff, but you can't see a huge amount of detail. As they're about halfway towards the house, they're still about 500 metres away. We see them stop in the middle of the lane at something. They're looking at something that isn't, that's off to one side, start pointing off to the side, and then they go stock still for a moment, and then as if it was perfectly normal, they just walk straight off the road into the darkness, into the dark countryside.
Shit.
Yeah. So that's like the building site part of the...
Yeah.
So it literally goes one side, big new development of the lane, other side, some building site, then just countryside.
Yeah.
And whether or not we've had it explained, I think I may have accidentally deleted a paragraph here, because I basically explained that the building site was the last place that Bill and Shirley's kid was seen.
Wow.
And that's why that was never finished. It was just left because it was it was a whole thing.
It was an active crime scene.
Right, and then by the time it was never really totally concluded, so it never really had a...
And like the funding probably fell through after that.
Right, so the other parts of the development did all go up, but that bit's still a building site. So these kids are just kind of... turned it in, and that's pitch black as well. So it's pitch black building site straight into, pitch black fields and farmland. The best you've got is a bit of moonlight or a light on the lane itself, but, it's not much light. Yeah, so they walk off into the darkness. We don't know what the fuck's happened there.
Yeah.
A couple of other kids from the same group we now see have actually been following not far behind, so they're just straggling a bit behind. And we all watch, and by that I mean we, the audience, and Shirley, watch as they stop in the same exact place as the previous kids. And at this, Shirley starts to get visibly worried, as if she's seen something terrible. It's a realization, basically, that something weird is happening, though we can't put our finger on it, and neither can she. And she starts to shout to Bill that she thinks something's happening again.
Yeah.
And fucking bolts through the house towards the front door.
Okay.
So frenetic scenes, basically, she bolts up the lane, and she gets to where the kids had been, both sets. And they've been there, a few moments before, but by the time she gets there, we've been following Shirley running down the lane.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing there. And when Bill catches up with her at the spot, she's absolutely frantic about where they've gone.
Yeah.
No one can see anything. It's just complete darkness. You can just see down the lane to their house, up the lane to the village. That's it.
Yeah.
Where have they gone? So that's pretty much the first act. Just trying to set that scene up.
Nice. Very creepy.
Well, thanks. So Bill gets Shirley back to the house, because remember, this is real time.
Yeah.
So Bill gets Shirley back to the house and is calming her down, and they're trying to discuss what she saw and how she thinks it relates to their kid in any way, because that's come up, because it's Halloween.
Of course,
it's,
yeah.
10 years after the thing. But of course...
wounds are scarred but have never healed.
Right. So we get some scenes here giving us a bit more detail into their kid's disappearance and what she thought might have happened. But there's no real time to dwell too long on this, in her opinion, because what just happened just now? Weren't those kids coming here, and what stopped them? Why have they just gone off into the darkness? What could possibly be going on?
Of course.
It's worrying. Bill is trying to be a bit more pragmatic, but is clearly rattled because he trusts his wife's judgment absolutely.
Of course, yeah.
So, but what is she suggesting? That they followed something? He's like, they're probably on their way to a party or something in the woods or something.
Shirley, calm down. What do you think's happening?
He is devil's advocating the shit out of this, basically. So look, they have a few drinks and decide to just to sit on the front porch and keep their eye on the lane. Both of them deciding that they're probably just a little sensitive to the odd events or anything that seems out of the ordinary on this particular night.
Yeah, 10th anniversary.
Because of the tragedy of this night in the past for them. That said, something does feel a bit off.
Yeah.
Something's feeling off. Act 2 has a lot of sort of exposition around this, but it culminates with Bill and Shirley sitting on the porch. And in a moment of relative silence, Bill sees something and taps Shirley on the shoulder, and we follow their gaze into the darkness in the distance, and we see a small green light appear. Or from this distance, that's what it looks like, but we're probably about 500 meters away or more. So we can't really see, but that's what it looks like. But we can see its bobbing and linear movement, as if it might be someone carrying a light or a lantern. Also, it appears to disappear behind things. So it's like kind of cuts in and out, as if it's going behind maybe trees or whatever.
Yeah.
It's a will-o'-the-wisp.
Yeah, sounds a bit wispy.
Shirley whispers.
Oh.
To which Bill replies that they're just methane set off by phosphate gases, which are released naturally.
Yeah.
Which is beautiful, really, and, nature at its most mysterious.
Yes.
And kind of exciting. And, this is not new. This is what, the town has some knowledge of this. It's a natural phenomena. It happens in specific rural areas.
Yeah.
It's a real thing. So Shirley replies, yeah, but just look at it.
Yeah.
And as we watch this green light that's sort of sputtering in and out of the darkness, now that we've heard that explanation, it does appear to look like what Bill described.
Yeah.
But why is it moving in one direction like that? Why do its movements look dedicated and purposeful?
Yeah.
Shirley posits.
Yeah.
As we watch it draw nearer from the blackness of the countryside to the all too near lane, Bill and Shirley start to become a bit uneasy again.
Yeah.
The gin isn't taking the edge off at this point. So we cut back to Nick and Claire.
Yeah.
You remember the wealthier people who live in the village.
Yeah.
As opposed to on the edge. They're just arriving back at their house. There's no sign of the kids, though they're not hugely worried initially. However, that conversation about where the kids are is why we're back with them for this scene. Maybe we get some more exposition around the event they've been to. Nick is keen to see if they can't secure another big swathe of land and push through some more planning permissions. The previous one, though it did make them a lot of money, was marred by unconnected tragedy and never completed. Left a bit of a bad taste. But after tonight's soiree, he finally has that taste back again.
Yeah, nice.
Let's tear up some of that fucking green, put down some concrete. Back with Bill and Shirley, we're seeing the green light again, and as we see it disappear behind the building site, where we saw the kids go, we also see another pair of kids now coming down the lane, on a roughly intersecting course with this green light that's coming in from the countryside.
Yes, so that will answer the question one way or the other. Because they say, well, okay, but if it's a person, like, those kids will see it.
Right. So the second act culminates in Bill heading off down the lane towards the boys as Shirley heads inside to grab another drink and throw off what she considers to be an overreaction and paranoia.
Yeah.
She's like, do you know what? This is freaking me out. I'm just going to go in and have another drink.
Yeah.
Fair enough, Shirley, I say. I'm on Shirley's side.
I mean, she's been through enough. No one's going to judge her for a little bit of gin.
It's Act 3 now. So in Act 3, Shirley is inside, visibly worried, fixing herself a nice drink to take the edge off. Just as she's finishing it, though, Bill bursts in through the door and he's like, it was Nick and Claire's kids and I couldn't stop him. I didn't get there in time, I just couldn't get to them in time.
Fuck.
Now it's Bill that's rattled, really rattled, way more than Shirley was.
Yeah.
Something about what he saw and the fact that he was unable to get the kids' attention, despite being only like 100 feet from them, yelling, shouting, running towards them.
And the kids who he probably knows is the neighbourhood kids.
Exactly, exactly. So they didn't even register him.
Wow.
And then they did what the
creepy
other
shit.
did what the other kids did. And by the time he got there, same thing. Just darkness, can't see anything, can't hear anything. So Shirley's like, I'm fucking calling Nick and Claire.
Yeah.
Let's just put this to bed.
It's better safe than sorry.
Maybe they're all going to some, midnight party for like 10 to 15-year-olds.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, I mean, to be fair, I mean, at that age, you're hanging around parks and stuff, drinking and whatnot.
So she's like, benefit the doubt. That's what's happened.
Yeah.
Because why would you think it was anything else?
Yeah,
apart from the fact that you have this historical tragedy,
of course,
which is slightly inexplicable. So anyway, we cut to Nick and Claire in their house. No, they don't know where their kids were headed, and they don't like the sound of that either. So they're gonna fucking come over. Yeah. Because they just don't like the sound of what.
Is there any not like animosity, but is there any reaction from Nick and Claire's in the sense of like, are they like, oh god, they're this other couple are nothing but bad tidings?
Ooh, yeah, could be.
Are they a bit like, would Nick be suitably like, oh shit, that does sound like something, and maybe Claire's like, oh, they're oversensitive.
I think some of that would play perfectly. Yeah. I think some of that would play absolutely perfectly in this sort of scene, because there's every likelihood that Nick, who's responsible for the development where Shirley and Bill's son disappeared,
and they're in a good mood, opened like some wine. Right. They're like, oh yes, it's going to serve. It's going to give me a good night.
Yeah, now it's crazy Shirley and Bill saying there's something going on again on the edge of town.
Oh, bad news, Shirley and Bill.
So they're like, don't like the sound of that. We're coming over.
Yeah.
So whilst they're waiting, Bill and Shirley decide to just go up the lane.
Yeah.
And sort of hang about and see if they can't figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
We head up the lane with them and we wait for a bit. At the point where the kids were stopping and going off.
Yeah.
And they eventually decide that maybe they should just hide themselves out of sight. Who knows? Because, if it is a big old midnight party...
They're going to spook the kids.
Then the kids aren't going to be like, oh yeah, we're going to a party.
Yeah, they're just going to fucking scatter like cockroaches.
Exactly.
If I know kids.
Yeah, that's it, and you do. So anyway, they sequester themselves out of sight in the field on the left of the lane before you get up as far as the... So, the new development's much further. You can
softly hear the chink of Shirley's glass.
The ice knocking against the edge.
This plume of smoke.
After they've been there for a little bit, instead of the kids coming down the lane, there's a commotion coming from the darkness opposite them.
Okay.
From the direction the kids had gone. And as we see Nick and Claire turn down the top of the lane, they're on foot because they don't live far away. It's a small village. Along with 4 young men that we find out shortly that they've just bumped into them.
Yeah.
They're also looking for kids. Sounds dodgy. Yeah. But older brother is supposed to be looking after some kids. He doesn't know where they've gone, so he's coming looking for them. He's got a friend, and there's another couple.
Also,
pretty much the exact same.
Nick and Claire have just had a drink, so they're not going to want him to climb in a car. They're going to...
Yeah. So basically, they've picked up a couple of people, and they're all coming to see because they're missing folk.
Yeah. And
the only lead any of them have got at this point is that Shirley's saying, I've seen a couple of you kids, and something weird's happened.
Yeah. An old-fashioned English posse has formed.
So anyway, as we see Nick and Claire and these other guys coming down the lane, at the same time, one of Nick and Claire's kids comes tumbling out of the darkness in a clearly injured and panicked state.
Wow.
Shirley and Bill immediately run towards the kid. After assessing him for a second, Shirley bolts up the lane to meet Nick and Claire coming down with the other guys. Shirley starts to speak to them as they're all turning back towards Bill and the kid.
Could I have a little point of clarity? What signs of injury looking at? Are we looking kind of like it missing an arm, or is
funnily enough, I was thinking like a raggedy arm. So like an arm.
Okay, so serious injury then.
I don't mean like it's missing a part. I mean like it's hanging limp and like it can't. It's like it's something's gone. It's fucked.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
like he can't. He's not lifting it, moving it. It's just hanging like a dead arm, basically. I don't know. I had that in my mind, but it could be anything you want.
No, I get
it could be as gory or as implicit as
but we're talking this, but we're talking more than a slight graze or a bit of a tumble. There's an injury.
Yeah, there's an injury. There's something it's enough to seriously disquiet.
Yes.
The people that are seeing it going, the fuck is that happening?
Whatever happened, this kid hasn't just fallen on his
he's not just fallen off his skateboard.
Of course.
He may have done that too.
Yeah, showing off your knowledge of kids and their current trends.
Yo-yo accident, ball in a cup.
Yeah, pog injury.
Pog.
Got pog lodged in his eye.
The stick in like a ring of iron, whatever the fuck that is. I don't know.
The old hoop and stick.
Hoop and stick.
Yeah, a Scottish Game Boy.
Yep. That's what we call them.
Yeah.
So Shirley, Nick, and Claire, and the other guys, the other young men they picked up, are coming back towards Bill, and who's with one of the only kid that's there.
Yeah.
As they're coming back towards him, we see a pop of a green flare, or a pop of green light flare up out towards the edge of the building site.
Yeah.
In the darkness, and the kid instantly pushes away from Bill and just runs at it.
Wow.
Into the darkness. So immediately, all the adults just start fucking running straight after the kids. Yeah. And as they pass Bill, another cloud of green flares up in front of them. But this time, there's a flash of an outline within the sort of green flame, if you like, of a figure. Only enough for us to see a horrific grimace and a huge claw shape tear the entirety of Nick's stomach and neck out.
Fucking hell.
Literally dropping large chunks of meat to the floor.
Oh, Nick, we barely knew you, mate.
That's it.
Come on, gone.
The green light instantly gutters back out to nothing.
Yeah.
As Nick drops to his knees.
Yeah.
There's a few spurts of life left in the poor fella before Claire is left with a dilemma of chasing her child.
All his money was for nothing in the end.
Or staying with her deceased husband.
Of course.
After what we've just seen, the desperation takes over and they all continue to chase. And what choice does she have? One of the four young men stays with Nick's lifeless body, though. Does I'll call the ambulance. You guys go.
Well, because it's a clear turn from kids messing around the building site with some fireworks and drinking to there's something actually tearing people apart.
Yeah.
It's all gone up a notch.
Nick's stomach's falling off.
Oh, fucking kids.
So anyway, what choice do they have? So the guy stays with the cadaver, basically, to call the ambulance and do the stuff, and Claire, losing her fucking shit at this point, straight into the darkness with Bill and Shirley and the other three guys, just hoof it straight, they're just going for it. Got to find out what the fuck's going on, especially after you saw that happen.
Yes, gone a bit real now.
Yeah. So we're flying into the night at this point. Panic and frenzied scenes take over as we see another green burst much further away into the darkness of the countryside and what looks like the shadowy outlines of kids. Oh. So everyone just belts towards that full pelt in that direction. We're careening over black fields at this point.
Yeah, that's only priority now. Get the kids out.
Right, only a touch of moonlight to go by. Because the kids are still heading away from you.
Yeah,
and they're already,
which itself is weirdly is worrying,
unnerving.
Yeah.
So, the group reach the darkness of the woods, the tree line basically, and we turn and see two of the young men that have fallen a little behind as we're all running across the fields. So Shirley, Claire, and Bill pause to take a breath and to wait for these two guys to catch up.
Yeah.
And as we're waiting for a beat, with no warning, we see a burst of green flame peel into life across the body of one of the young men, immediately immolating him. Wow. It just sets him on fire. So no figure in it. Yeah. No, claws or nothing. Just, boom, guy's on fire. Guy literally just immolates.
Yeah.
And even when he drops and rolls, the flames aren't going out.
Fuck hell.
So he's done in, basically.
Done to a turn.
So Q screaming, running, flailing, but it does end in his death and they have to carry on. It's not a nice scene, but all bets are off now.
Yeah.
Literally anything can happen. Was it intentional? Did the bog and the methane just do that by accident? Was it a result of their footsteps, releasing the phosphate gases? Yeah. Who knows? But we find out that the remaining... So there's two men left, at this point. So that one guy stayed with dead Nick. One guy just got set on fire. And the two remaining are called Dougie and Clive.
Nah. Hello, Clive.
Hello, Clive. Clive makes his appearance.
We're in steady hands now.
They're respectively looking for 1, a younger brother, and 2, a younger sister and friend.
Yeah,
that's why they're there.
Of course.
I mean, who knows whether this is where they are? But you know, given what you've seen,
something's happening here that needs to be addressed.
So they need to check it, right?
Yeah, of course.
The remaining people in the group regroup and head towards the latest green flare that they saw deep off in the woods. So at this point, our senses are being completely abused by fast, panicky cuts and noises assaulting us from all sides. We don't know what the noises are, but they sound animalistic. Everyone's just tearing through the trees trying to get to the green light, not least Claire, because she is the only one at this point that has a guaranteed horse in the race. She knows her kid is this way.
She's fucking not stopping for anybody.
Yeah.
She's bolting.
So she knows that her kid's gone this way, and so, as you say, she's not stopping for anything.
Yeah.
So you're tearing through the trees trying to get to the green light. You know, they all saw the fucking clawed guy, the emoliated guy, so, you know.
Shit, we know already it's a night to remember.
Yeah. We lose Clive in these scenes as different green lights pop in different places, confusing us, losing our sense of direction, and for the nearer ones, we occasionally glimpse a figure holding a lamp within the flare.
So it's almost like strobe lighting almost.
Yeah, and confusing, because until this point, you know, just like one there, so you follow them. There's a sort of linear nature to them, but now they're just all around. You're in the wood, we've lost all sense of direction to begin with, and now they're just kicking off everywhere. And worse still is that in these popping green flames, we're starting to see things that are just like a person carrying a lamp, weird
This
shit,
is a weird thing,
weird shit, stuff that would make you go, the fuck is that?
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how Clive gets taken down, but it'd be wisp related or accidental panic induced. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be, you know, some sort of malicious thing.
Oh god, yeah.
It could just be an accident. Cause
I've never been to wood where someone's not run into a branch and been pinned there for days.
Look, if you go to the woods and you haven't had to pick up your own intestines and try and put them back in, you haven't had a good day out.
That's why they National Trust charge, because they would clean them up. Other than that, lands look after themselves.
So anyway, Clive gets taken down. We can talk at the end how we think that could happen. But yeah, or hey, listeners, tweet us, email us.
How did Clive go today?
Write us a letter. Yeah.
Well, Clives always die. I think Clives always die, don't they?
Mostly. Let's recap that. Let's recap our Clive activity at the end.
Mostly.
So Clive's out of it. Yeah. Now we're following Shirley again. And she stopped running, she's gathering her breath. Bill stumbles up to her, and we get Claire and Dougie arriving too. So now the group is 4.
Yeah.
We're still lost in the forest, middle of the night, pitch black. Shit's fucking messed up.
Yeah.
Claire is clearly beside herself with panic. Dead husband, missing kid. Bill and Shirley are just running on adrenaline. Yeah. They don't know what's going on either, and Dougie saw his friend emoliated a few minutes ago, so he's functioning on
They're all panicking.
Fear and shock.
You know what? I bet Shirley's not spilt a drop of gin, though.
So yeah, they're basically all just functioning on kind of shock and adrenaline.
Yeah, definitely.
So in that moment of relative calm, before anyone's able to coherently try and communicate any kind of plan or like figure out what the fuck is going on, we see another green flare through the trees some distance away, but as it fades and moves, we see firelight behind it. Oh, wow, so we see that glow, that glow of a fire. We can't see flames, but we can see. We know that it's probably
the classic orange glow of a large fire.
Claire instinctively just bolts towards that.
Yeah,
doesn't say a word, just fucking gone.
Yeah,
leaving Bill, Shirley, and Dougie to follow. So we're all running again, chasing Claire essentially, but all heading towards what we think
because now at this point it's like, we're all going now, but maybe we should take a calmer step because of the madness that has happened.
Right.
Whereas Claire's skittish Claire,
well, she's got her kid first and foremost in her mind.
Fair enough.
So I can understand Claire.
Something spooked her, and she's bolted.
Yeah. Like if you put a cucumber behind a cat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking if you drive by a horse, but cucumber behind a cat.
Yeah, whatever.
Potato.
We're all running again. We're all running behind Claire, but we're all heading towards the fire. And it's the usual confusion and quick cuts and darkness and noises. But we see Claire go down in front of us, take a tumble. It's dark. We might not see that much, but it looks fairly innocent.
Yeah.
So as the 3 reach her, they instinctively crouch to help her up. But of course, she's facing them as they get to her, and behind all 3 of them is a pop of green.
Wow.
Now at this point, you see Claire's eyes just glass over They just go green themselves, so they glass over with like a green with some opacity in it, so you can still kind of see her eyes, but you know there's a green film. She bolts upright, throws the three aside, and storms up and over the immediate slope into the firelight beyond.
Wow.
And as we follow Shirley's gaze back around, the green light behind us gutters out, but it's revealed that Bill and Dougie have also got glassed over green eyes, and they just thunder past her as she's pleading for them to stop, up and over the little hillock and in towards the firelight. So we have a few moments of Shirley trying to grab a breath, just gather herself for a second.
Yeah.
She's now in shot proper, but Bill's gone over the edge, so she can't just cut and run. She now also has a fucking horse in the race, plus she has a strong suspicion, whether or not we get this or not, it's up for debate, but this is maybe what happened to her kid, right?
Yeah,
so there's a bit of that going too, so that's tugging at her. So she bolts up and over the top into the firelight.
Yeah, she wants answers now, no matter what.
The scene we're confronted with then is roughly as follows.
Okay.
The firelight reveals a large circular depression in the woods, like a large clearing like a bowl or a natural amphitheatre.
Okay.
Surrounded by the black forest, lit only from the centre with a large fire in the middle of the bowl. In the middle of the fire is stood a flaming figure, and we can only see their outline, but we see that someone's just standing in it burning alive.
Wow.
Next closest in proximity to the fire is Dougie and then Bill, lined up facing the fire, both standing stock still. Scattered around the edges of this amphitheatre, lit by the occasional flicker of firelight, are a host of woodland and countryside creatures.
Okay.
We glimpse maybe a badger's face.
The badger's from the start.
Some mice, perhaps, an occasional owl, the passive eyes of a deer, some moving leaves, you know, whatever the firelight, whatever gets scary, whatever creeps us out a bit, you know, weirds us out. The figure in the fire collapses into the flames, and without missing a beat, Dougie just takes a big step right in after them and walks straight into the place where that figure had been, and he's now burning to death.
Fuck.
Shocked out of her momentary pause on the edge of the bowl, Shirley just fucking bolts towards Bill on the far side, screaming for him as she goes.
He's all she's got left.
Right. So she reaches Bill and starts wrestling with him and haranguing him, screaming at him to try and break him out of his...
Bill!
William! William!
Bill!
Now, Bill, we've been through this, Bill. I don't know why she sounds like...
He's playing to Shirley. Stretching them out.
Hey, man, like, I'm an equal opportunities employer.
If there's any man who could do it, it's Pertwee.
It's fucking Pertwee.
Yeah.
She reaches Bill, starts screaming at him, wrestling, trying to break the stupor. A cleft in the ground opens wide under the roots of a great oak tree standing at the edge of the clearing. So like a huge triangular cleft in the ground just opens from the base of this tree.
Nice.
Within the darkness and amongst the entangled, exposed roots of the tree, we see what looks like a rudimentary throne. The firelight throws its light down the shaft, revealing a large, ancient, mud-encrusted bear, curled up on the throne within the roots.
Yeah.
Wearing a crown of roots with small leaves emanating from it, so it looks like a laurel wreath, like a Caesar would wear.
Yeah, that's cool.
And what looks like the remains of an armoured breastplate upon its chest. The roots of the tree are weaving in and out of the bear like it's in a symbiotic relationship.
Nice.
In some way. At the screams of Shirley at this point, the bear slowly turns its head enough to set an eye on Shirley, and after a beat, with a pulse from the bear's great belly, Bill walks straight into the fire and the flames and stands there burning alive. The final shot of the movie is a close-up of Shirley screaming before a flash of green, and as the flash subsides, because it whites out, I was thinking it whited out the frame, we see her eyes have also gone green, and we see the fire still burning behind her. So,
that's cool.
You know.
She's in there, mate.
Credits roll.
Yeah.
And that is the Halloween...
That's brilliant. That's really cool, mate. That's very great.
My first Halloween special, folks.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Kept me guessing.
Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah. No, I it's brilliant.
So, like, a couple of things here. Like, I wrote a couple of thoughts I wanted to quickly mention. So, the bear, I was thinking, and this could be bollocks, but it could be fun, I don't know. But, so the last bears really in Britain were, of any note, were bears that the Romans brought over.
Yep.
And they brought live bears over for bear baiting and for, you know, entertainment. And
fucking love bears.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Henry VIII and a bunch of other historical leaders prior to him also did bear baiting and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think they were smaller bears by that point, and they were few and far between.
Yeah, definitely wasn't the same.
So the big bears, the brown bears, and the sort of grizzly types were only brought over by the Romans. They did exist here pre-Ice Age, but hey, it's not a history podcast, so look it up, folks. But anyway, so I thought the bear from the Roman era, surviving only through its symbiosis with the ancient tree, and perhaps in a wider sense with nature itself.
Yeah.
Exactly, the hows and whys are sort of irrelevant, but ultimately, whatever consciousness it still retains in this form is essentially utilising nature to take some form of revenge on humanity in any small way it can.
That's cool, yeah. Bear's probably seen a few things.
Yeah, it's been around for about 1,000 years or so. The fact that a lot of kids go missing is simply because this tends to only occur on, say, one Halloween Eve in every decade.
Yes.
And thus, it's kids that are fucking out and about.
On the street,
Exactly. The wisps, the will-o'-the-wisps, caused by phosphine and diphosphine gases mixing with methane and igniting. That's a genuine thing.
Yeah.
It took people fucking... Well, weirdly... I think will-o'-the-wisps are such a cool concept. They existed the world over. It's just that in Britain we call them will-o'-the-wisps, and even then, not all of Britain. I think Devon and Cornwall call them something else. But mostly, people think, because no one's really sure, but people are pretty confident that it is these natural gases, and as soon as they hit methane, they do ignite.
Yeah, flare.
But in folklore, they were considered to lead people to their deaths. Yeah. So, like, sort of like the Dead Marshes in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I think that was a reference.
Oh, really? Yeah. Well, so, like, I mean, there's a huge amount of really cool folklore about will-o'-the-wisps, which is why I wrote 3 fucking stories. Yeah. Because I really wanted to maximize that, and in the end I went the other way and actually kept them largely kind of natural occurrences. But here the bear I've written uses them in different ways: a physical manifestation of him to kill Nick, a series of normal flares but with deeply hidden hypnotic and supernatural capabilities, and as flames just to immolate people. The animals that are gathered in the woodland aren't necessarily meant to represent sort of support for the actions of the bear, but rather they understand that there's no threat here for them, and thus they're just curious. Just curious animals.
And it also gives a slightly regal nature to the bear. They're almost like it's caught.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was my thinking.
That's fantastic, mate. I really like it.
Do you think there's enough there? Do you think that's enough for a movie?
I think so, yeah. I think it's definitely... I think the real-time aspect of it is really cool, because I think you could really ratchet the panic up really, really nicely on that side. Particularly with the interplay with the 2 different sort of sets of characters. Because also as well, bits in a movie that you wouldn't normally see, like the bit when you had Bill and Shirley waiting. At that crossroads, that instead of being a bit where they walk and then cutscene happening, you'd have a real time few minutes of that tension. Yeah, I think that sort of stuff would really make the movie. Yeah, because I think it is definitely like a build to finale movie. So I think that would be awesome. I think that you could really build the characters in that sense. I think it's definitely a pitch where I think the actors would make or break it. I think particularly Bill and Shirley would have to be.
They're good.
I would have to smash it to really nail that believability, because you'd be seeing it through their eyes pretty much.
Well, here's some name options. Oh, fucking hell.
Bare necessities?
The last... Oh, that's good.
That's good. Is it though?
Well,
or is
is it shit? I don't know. Maybe it is shit.
I think it's just stupid.
I like it, but hey. I got The Last Bear.
That's a perfect name.
I also got Royal Oak.
Oh, that was good.
Which I liked. Just because I didn't have it there. I got also The Wisps of Cabley Grange. Cabley Grange was just made up. It sounded like a small village in England. So I was like, sounds good. Last one was All Willows Eve.
All Willows Eve's good. I would say, if you're leaning into the Halloween stuff, All Willows Eve, The Last Bear's amazing.
What's got me that then?
Yeah, The Last Bear's a great name. Right. I mean, I would see a movie called The Last Bear without knowing what it's about.
The only thing I had in my mind when I was writing that is an episode of South Park called The Woodland Critters Christmas.
Yes.
Have you seen that? Yeah, one of the greatest episodes.
Yeah, it's very, very funny.
That was the only thing I had in my mind, basically. Yeah. That and Halloween and nature. I wanted to do something that touched on that.
No, I think that's awesome.
That's
I think you smashed it, mate.
Well, you're very kind. You're very kind, John. So, tweet us at LaMahMpod, LMAHM pod on Twitter. Instagram us, dick pics or whatever you want for John.
I just wonder if mine's alright.
Yeah, if you've got an odd coloured one or whatever, send that.
Make me feel better.
Yeah. The weirder it is, the more we would be curious to see it.
The more it'll settle me.
On that aquatic mine, I think we ought to bring it probably to a close.
Yeah, I think so. I think we should have done about 10 minutes.
Yeah, so look, in that case, let's make a horror movie, fellas.
Yeah.
And ladies.
Let's make a horror movie, everyone.